Our time belongs to God. Every moment is His, and we are under the most solemn obligation to improve it to His glory. Of no talent He has given will He require a more strict account than of our time. Hi, I'm Justin Lyons, president of the Minnesota Conference of Seventh-day Adventists. I am reporting on evangelism and discipleship. The first E in Eyes on Jesus stands for evangelism. During the 2016-2020 quadrennium, we saw the Lord bless our collective evangelistic efforts in the Minnesota Conference in marvelous ways. In this conference, during this time, 1,860 individuals united with Jesus and His church through baptism or profession of faith. That's 143 more than any other conference in the Mid-America Union. During the same period, the Minnesota Conference membership grew by 11.46%. Of course, our goal is to make disciples, not simply members. To that end, we invested in training the members so that we will all be active in ministry. Numerous seminars and workshops have been offered growth opportunities. The Minnesota Conference collaborated with It Is Written, Lifting Up Jesus, and Praxis, the Mid-America Union, the North American Division, the Voice of Prophecy, and others to bring high-quality resources to those who wish to be effective disciples. A wide variety of trainers also came to our camp meetings, church leadership summits, and other conference-led programs. Here are some of the major highlights in evangelism and discipleship during the quadrennium. Minnesota Youth Rush was formed. This is the Minnesota Conference's literature evangelism ministry, consisting of a canvassing program and a network of churches committed to the distribution of glow tracts. The evangelism subsidy formula was adjusted so that we would put more emphasis on preparing the soil, planting seed, and watering rather than on reaping. We invested more into building personal relationships and meeting community needs. The Twin Cities African Camp Meeting officially became a Minnesota Conference event. It is mission-driven. Approximately 3,000 people attended in 2019 to hear evangelist Carlton Bird, former speaker, director of the Breath of Life, preach the word. 17 were baptized, with many more decisions for baptism. The Hispanic Caravan of Hope resulted in single-night reaping meetings being held in almost every Hispanic church. Small group ministries continue to bring results. We've been told that the Minnesota Conference was the first conference to obtain the license for all the congregations in its territory to act as a discovery center. This entitled participating congregations to be Discover Bible Schools, receive and use Discovery Mountain Vacation Bible School packages, host mini evangelistic series like Final Empire, and use the major reaping materials from the Voice of Prophecy. The Minnesota Conference teamed up with It Is Written to train and equip churches to work together in outreach using tried and true methods, culminating in major harvest activity. We ended 2019 with our eyes on Jesus, expecting great things in terms of evangelism and discipleship. The quadrennium closed on December 31st, 2019, with a cluster of cases of pneumonia being reported in Wuhan, Hubei province, China. We didn't know what that would mean for evangelism, the church, or the world. Here we are 2 years later, still keeping our eyes on Jesus. We began 2020 with an evangelism initiative called Propel Minnesota, in cooperation with the It Is Written ministry. We held an in-person Propel Minnesota rally in Rochester, Minnesota on January 25th. That was one of the last in-person gatherings held during 2020. In March, the world seemed to shut down. Our governor issued executive orders. We encouraged the churches to follow those orders while maintaining clear statements that the church is not to be an agent of the state. Many churches closed temporarily. We saw classrooms go virtual. Many evangelistic activities and meetings were canceled. All of a sudden, some of the smallest churches became international in their reach. Some outreach went online. Nearly everyone learned to video conference. Propel Minnesota training went online. Evangelism went online. Our Hispanic brethren were some of the first in the North American division to hold a virtual evangelistic series. On May 25th, George Floyd was murdered. Minneapolis and seemingly the whole world was on fire. We saw increasing polarization in the secular world over issues of race, policing, socialism, capitalism, freedom, justice, the pandemic, and masks. These challenges brought pain and opportunities to minister. We saw virtual small groups, virtual summer camp, virtual vacation Bible school or vacation Bible experience, all of these things. In all the disruption of our discipleship plans, we continued to do real ministry. Sadly, by summer, we saw some active church members die from COVID-19. Social context does affect delivery of the gospel. In spite of all the upheaval during 2020, the Lord brought 232 precious souls into baptism or profession of faith. This is part of the reason the Minnesota Conference had a small but positive net growth in 2020. Minnesota was the only conference in the Mid-America Union with a positive net growth. We had bright hopes of a waning pandemic as 2021 began. Several controversial vaccines were already being distributed for the COVID-19 virus. Then there was the contested transfer of the U.S. presidency. Again, the enemy tried to inject the polarization of secular society into matters of the church. But we endeavored to keep our eyes on Jesus. We prayed regarding Propel Minnesota. It seemed we were encountering difficulties at every step of the way. Still, we pressed on with training, with outreach, all these things being done in hybrid meetings. Bible study enrollment cards were mailed out in various places. Bible studies were shared online and in person. Our Minnesota Youth Rush Literature Evangelism Ministry went forward stronger than ever. Vacation Bible School and Vacation Bible Experience was held in person in some places, and summer camp was in person too. Our schools opened with in-person instruction. We came to the time for the reaping meetings. Churches all over the conference held prophecy meetings, many in conjunction with It Is Written and Pastor Eric Flickinger's Which Way America meetings that were being held in the Mayo Civic Center in Rochester. We ended the second COVID year with 380 persons uniting with Christ in His church through baptism or profession of faith. This number is considerably greater than the prior year. It is also considerably greater than in the other conferences of the Mid-America Union for the same period. Net growth in the Minnesota Conference exceeded the total net growth of the Mid-America Union. Some conferences had negative net growth. The Lord continues to bless the Minnesota Conference with fruitfulness. His people are implementing discipleship cycles. They are using Christ's method alone to reach the world. They have shown that they are not afraid to show the character of God to their family, friends, neighbors, and co-workers. Whether third-generation Minnesotans or new to America, God continues to use His church to share His love with a dying world. Let us keep our eyes on Jesus.